Vicky Xu, you are from ASPI. You're the lead author of this new paper looking at what's happened to the estimated 1 million Uyghurs and other ethnic minorities that have been held in detention centres in the Xinjiang province. What have you found?
We found that since 2018, 2019, some of them are being released, and some, residents in Xinjiang are being rounded up, and they're sent out to other provinces in China, spread across the country, and they're working in factories that are in the supply chains of a number of, very famous global brands that we wear every day: Nike, Adidas, Apple.
By your reckoning, something like 80,000 or at least 80,000 people who were in these detention centres have been effectively used as forced labour. We're talking about Nike, BMW, Gap, Huawei, Samsung, Sony and Volkswagen. What's the purpose there?
The 80,000 number, first of all, is a very conservative estimate. It's basically based on Chinese state media reporting. And the purpose to transfer these ethnic minorities out is basically to forcibly strip them of their very unique identity and culture, at these factories.
Uyghurs being an ethnic minority, Muslim minority.
Yeah, it's basically to strip the Uyghurs, this Turkic Muslim minority, of their very unique identity and culture. Some companies are directly using Uyghur labor to manufacture their product, and other companies, in a long, complicated supply chain, it might be second tier or third tier, there is Uyghur labor, and they might not know.
Well, it's so organised, it's actually called, you've discovered, Xinjiang Aid, where workers are being traded by private brokers. That sounds very much like modern slavery.
Well, companies who engage Uyghur workers under these coercive labor transfers could be in breach of modern slavery laws in different countries. They have different versions of that. And I will say that, under this sweeping policy of so-called Xinjiang Aid, the Chinese government is encouraging provinces, more developed provinces, to go in and develop Xinjiang, this region that the government thinks is problematic because it has all these minorities.
Well, how do you actually know this is happening?
Basically, every piece of information we were able to find for this report was open source research. So they're all just out in the open on the internet, state media reports, government documents. They're all downloadable. In
one instance, Vicky, you have an advertisement from the Tsingtao Dusai Decoration Company, which claims to have government-sponsored Uyghurs workers from Xinjiang to supply for other provinces. I mean, that was publicly available, was it?
All these ads are publicly available, and a lot of them started to pop up around 2019. And this specific ad said, they can offer hundreds of workers to all across China. And in another ad, they advertised for workers aged 16 to 18. And then they said, companies can place orders, a minimum 100 people. And once you place an order, the workers can be delivered within 7 to 15 days. And if you think about that, that couldn't possibly be voluntary.
So what conditions are they kept in?
We can't determine that all 80,000 workers are transferred against their will. But in the cases where we could find enough information available, we see workers, every 50 of them are watched by one minder. They're surveilled online and in person. They have to attend these Mandarin studies after work and political indoctrination sessions. And these factories have barbed wire fences, watchtowers.
The one with the factory with barbed wire fences, they're making Nike sneakers.
They're making Nike sneakers.
Now, just describe this. It's not just barbed wire fences, you claim. It's watchtowers, police guard boxes?
Yes. So the one factory, Qingdao Taekwon factory, that is one of the largest manufacturers of Nike sneakers. They have barbed wire fences, a police guard box that was built in 2017 since the newest crackdown started on the Uyghur people. At this factory, Uyghur workers attend a night school where they're offered Mandarin classes and political indoctrination, and they have to sing the Chinese national anthem.
Vicky Xu, your report also reveals that a company that's been contracted to build Victoria's high-capacity trains has a connection to Uyghur labour?
So we found that in July 2019, Uyghur workers were moved, dozens of them were moved from Xinjiang to this Chinese company called KTK Group, whose customer include Chinese state-owned company CRRC, who is currently in a $2 billion contract building Melbourne's high-capacity trains.
Chinese state media says participation in these labour transfer programs is voluntary. Can you prove otherwise?
Yes, we can. And in one of our case studies for this research, we could prove that one company, Haoyuanpeng, this Chinese company, transferred 63 Uyghur workers from Xinjiang to Anhui province. And state media reported that they were transferred from a particular school in Jiashi County. And we were able to determine by satellite imagery analysis that this so-called school has been functioning as a detention camp since 2017.
Now, your report says this is the next phase in social re-engineering. What do you mean by that?
You know, we've been following this for a long time, but in the past year or so, we haven't heard many new cases of detention, but we did hear a lot of new cases of release. So we wonder, where have these people go? And then we found that a lot of people have been transferred out and spread out across the country. And if you think about that, that is the so-called re-education campaign in Xinjiang being spread out across the country and, you know, having implications for global companies and consumers.
Well, what of those big brands? What are you saying about them in this report, and what are you recommending?
We're recommending that they do thorough audits on their supply chain, and we believe some of them might, you know, we're just getting emails back from them and they seem like they genuinely don't know who their contractors are subcontracting to. That's possible, so we do hope that they conduct immediate audit, and in this process they can make sure that the Uyghur workers are not put in further harm.
And finally, on the Chinese government itself, what do you recommend there?
We recommend them stick to their constitution and release ethnic minorities, and give people rights to choose where they want to work and where they don't want to work.
Vicky Xu, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.